Our early childhood acculturation to do good, or anyway, not to do bad, results in our passing into adulthood with this seemingly useful template for evaluating things, the ability to tell good and bad. Even the Zen Buddhists pledge to stop all evil, to practice good. It may seem natural then, particularly for those new to the practice, to want to be good at sitting and to worry that they are not. Indeed, desiring to do zazen properly can cause some to fear being unable to do this, especially on finding that they cannot keep their minds in meditation from being full of thoughts, no matter how hard they try. Judging that something must be wrong with them, they may reason that they just aren't good at sitting and really should consider giving it up. It doesn't occur to them to instead stop trying to be good at doing zazen. Thoughts of being good and bad at something are no more important thoughts than those that we are not paying attention to as they pass through our minds during zazen. Nothing is wrong with thoughts per se, but when we are meditating, they are irrelevant, as you know, as they don't define us, or define us about as much as our toenails do. Indeed, an essential part of samsara. As such, thoughts get in the way of our experiencing who we really are. Nevertheless, we don't sit to improve our thinking, even if thinking does do this in the end, nor do we sit really so as not to be lost in our thoughts. But we are able to see that thinking can be left behind. Dogen was expressing this in encouraging us to think non-thinking or think beyond thinking. Of course, what Dogen is saying here has nothing to do with judgments of good or bad. It is clearly a matter of ordinary thinking when, in liking the so-called good parts of us, but disliking the so-called bad parts, we divide one thing, ourselves, into two, and so separate ourself from ourself. Such a differentiation is what is happening in the above example of thinking that one has too many thoughts in one's head to be good at sitting, and so must be bad at it and need to stop trying to do it. Such blaming can also occur with respect to others. In asking ourselves how someone could have done something bad to us, we demonstrate having already decided that the person is bad, forgetting that in other times he or she is also good. We ought not to throw away the baby in the bathwater, but take into account both the good and bad, and should do things irrespective of how we label our performance of them. I remember doing the opposite once in my childhood. I loved to draw when I was in first grade and even had the use of the bottom half of 4 walls of the classroom for my pictures of a train. But in second grade, I found that the arms in my watercolor of an ice skater didn't look right. And giving up painting after that, I retained a nearly lifelong negative image of my ability in it, in painting. One of Shakyamuni's Buddha's major insights was that we internalize what is external to us through a series of processes he called, as you know, the five skandas. One of our sense organs making contact with something outside of us occurs in the first skanda. In the second skanda, the thing is immediately evaluated as being good for us, bad for us, or neither. The third skanda makes note of the response to this, and the fourth skanda compares it to our collection of ideas and concepts. The fifth skanda has a resultant consciousness of the thing. Got that? I've talked about this before. Anyway, the origin of my thinking that I was bad at drawing, thus denying myself the pleasure of pictorial art, was a perception in the second to third skandhas being transformed into an idea by the fourth skanda. I imagine that I'm not alone in having mistakenly thought that I should do what I think I'm good at, but not what I think I am bad at. You probably have repeated innumerable, actually all of you had, I know on the screen, have repeated innumerable times the Heart Sutras, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, and practicing deeply, Prajna Paramita, saw clearly that all five skandhas are empty and thus received all suffering, and then thus relieved all suffering. Usually the outside is connected with the inside via the skandhas by discrimination. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it really, really good or bad? And then etc. And we do that. But if we don't have discrimination taking place, and here's the important point, we don't have discrimination taking place in the second to fourth skandhas, the external directly becomes the internal. Nothing separates the two. There's no discrimination. This is how enlightenment is experienced moment by moment in daily life. And we can actualize this through meditation. Forget about good and bad. All that can be said in the end is just sit. Thank you. Anybody have any comments or thoughts or questions? Yes, Mike?
And it's funny you bring up art because Jane had to encourage me to be an artist because I kept judging my art.
Mm-hmm.
In meditation, we don't want to judge our meditation, we just do it.
Yeah, that's right.
And when we do judge it, we start creating dualities which aren't there either, and
Yeah.
they have their own power. So that's what you're saying is that, just let it go, that's the way it is. And was it Suzuki Roshi said, when you're sitting meditating and thoughts go through, it's okay, just don't serve them tea.
I'm sorry, say it again.
When you're sitting in meditation and thoughts go through your mind, through the door of your mind,
Yes.
it's okay, just don't serve them tea.
Of course,
Just
that's
let
right.
them go
That's
by.
right. That's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Yes, Mark.
What you're talking about, is that referring to polishing the stone? To make it a tile? Yes, can you hear me? Oh, okay. What you're referring to, the process that you're talking
Yes.
about, is polishing a stone.
Is polishing the stone.
Yes.
I think the polishing the stone is used in a little different way in in the koan?
Well, it's to make I guess, a tile, to polish a stone until it becomes.
So I forget the names, but one of the people is sitting meditation and the other one asks, "What are you doing?" Sitting there, says, "I'm trying to become Buddha."
Yes.
And so the first one says, picks up a tile and starts polishing it, and
Yeah.
the other one says, "What are you doing?" He says,
Yeah.
"I'm trying to make a mirror."
Yeah.
I never
No,
got that.
I'm trying to make a Buddha.
No. The first guy's trying to make a Buddha by sitting. The second one says he's trying to make a mirror by polishing the tile.
Okay.
I never really got that one.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well,
But that's the koan that Mark is referring
is
to.
he referring to? Yes.
Well, I'm not referring to the koan because I don't know that koan, but I just
Oh.
remember
Oh, I see.
he talks about that,
Oh,
of polishing a stone, and the story about it, I didn't realize it was.
Yeah, that's the
koan.
story.
oh, I thought you were talking about the koan.
Yeah, me too.
No,
Oh,
I thought
There's
those were
an answer
poison
to- there's an answer
in our
to it
lands.
beyond that.
you're just polishing a stone to make it smoother.
Yes, polishing a stone to make it,
Nice. There's-
Yes.
really,
Can you polish a stone
well,
Sorry.
it's
to
the,
make it a jewel? He want to make it a jewel, or make it a tile, or can you polish? Actually, it's a piece of tile. Actually,
Can you improve anything?
well, you can't do it. That's not. You are trying to do something good.
What about if it's
You
your
do
teeth?
that. You can't try to be a Buddha.
well, I think we have someone
No,
who's
I-
talking to us right now.
Yes, just please raise your hand and wait to be called on.
Oh, who is that?
I said,
Please go
maybe,
ahead.
what if it's polishing your teeth?
Oh, yeah, is that?
Well, there's your improvement, that's for sure.
No problem with polishing your teeth because you have a goal of polishing your teeth. That takes place in samsara.
Yes.
But what we're talking about takes place someplace else.
What I'm actually getting at is that what you were referring to, this effort that we do, and this effort is judged prematurely. It's judged too early because there have been a lot of, what the polishing the stone is that this is impossible, but they still polish it.
Yeah.
It's still being polished, the effort is being made to do
Okay.
the impossible,
Okay.
which is sometimes who we are to ourselves. We're impossible to ourselves, and we're polishing ourselves in hopes that we won't be impossible and that will actually change, but you can't intentionally do it.
Yeah, and of course, and that's right. And so, but we're trying to we are trying to do something. It not be good or bad, but we're trying to polish the stone, right? And of course, the fact of the matter is, we do want to get enlightened, and even though we're told again and again and again and again and again, you can't do that. You can't get enlightened. Well, of course, the simple reason is because you already are enlightened. But it's more than that. Is you can't. You have to think beyond thinking. Trying to polish the stone is the first thinking. It's not this. It's not thinking beyond thinking.
It's effort.
It's making effort, yeah. And of course, we have to make effort, and life is that way. But what we are trying to do is something outside of that world, in which you can polish something and make something out of it.
Well, if I might.
It's still the same world, but it's the other side of that world.
I'm an art student. I've been an art student for all my life.
Uh-huh.
And anybody who's taking it up seriously can have a lot of difficulty in drawing hands.
Mhm.
Very hard to draw. So the solution that the masters and the older people who have actually mastered it will tell you, draw 100 hands.
Oh, draw 100 hands.
Yes,
Yeah,
draw
yeah.
100 hands and you'll know how to draw hands.
Yeah.
It's the same idea of the effort that needs to be put forward to find maybe you don't find it right away, it's not a big epiphany, but eventually through this constant effort that there are small improvements made. And you probably don't even notice whether it's not like I can't draw a hand, it's that I'm making the effort. And eventually this slow progress will at least bring you to.
Well,
that
anyway,
place.
certainly I didn't make much of an effort to learn how to make an arm go the right way. I gave it up right away. But anyway, anybody else want to add something to this? Yes, Mitch.
There you go. Sorry, I had trouble unmuting. For me personally, Zazen has been, I've been sitting for what, 25 years. It's been transformational. It's always changing. It's always getting better. And Zazen has never misled me or set me down a bad path of transformation. But I think the analogy or the metaphor of polishing the stone is the fact that you're not going to polish a stone in one day. You're going to polish it in 5 years, and I think it's it's something you've got to commit yourself to. And
Mark Stone has become a pebble in our conversation.
A
pebble in our shoe because Mark was not referring to the koan. Because the koan says.
That's my fault, not Mark's fault.
I
jumped to conclusions on that.
Yeah, me too. I did also. Yeah.
It takes time. It takes time in Zazen. It takes a commitment. It's transformational, and it will get better. It will always get better. Sometimes I've sat and I think it's, I get nihilistic about it, and the Buddha obviously warned us against that. And then things will shoot up. It'll get better. And then you plateau. You did it, and then it's a commitment to sit. That's my point.
Well, yeah, and yes, no, certainly it's a commitment to sit. Yeah, Rachel?
Well, I like the idea of polishing a stone, but I just think about the pebble game. Is it not that you do not sit to become a Buddha because you are Buddha? Which means though you continue to make the effort, you continue to do Zazen, but you don't sit Zazen to become a Buddha because you are a Buddha. And that polishing the tile, as I recall, isn't it something like you don't make the tile into a mirror, you make a mirror. In other words, there's something, there's a conundrum that you must make the effort. However, you're already a Buddha, even though you're sitting to become a Buddha. I always heard it referred to, it's sort of like an inherent conundrum that the mind wants to figure out, but you don't figure out. But through the effort, you reach an understanding.
Yes, that's I agree with that completely. But well, let me go back to the koan just for a second because I got it mixed up too, I think. Anyway, yeah, one person said, one student or one monk says, I'm trying to become a Buddha. And so the guy picks up not a stone, but in the koan, a piece of tile. And he says, what do you do? She says, I'm trying to make a mirror. Now, can you ever make a mirror from a piece of tile? No, you cannot. That's the point. And you can never become a Buddha by trying to become a Buddha. That said, effort is always necessary. But we make the effort just to make, I would say, we make the effort just to make the effort. We don't do it with any purpose. We just sit. And when we're sitting, we don't have any ideas in mind. We are slowly, our thoughts slow down, usually, not always. Okay? And that's it. Yet, transformation takes place. And of course, if it didn't take place in some way, we would not be sitting, because why am I sitting? But in fact, you're sitting ultimately just because you're sitting. You're not sitting for any reason or any other reason. You're just sitting. Now, in other practices different than ours, people sit to get enlightened, and they try and try and try in the Rinzai school and the Soto Zen part of Rinzai that has Rinzai in it, and they try and try and try, but our practice is somewhat different. We just make an effort. And effort is always necessary, and we keep going. But there's no ultimate purpose. We just do it, and something happens. But we don't plan for what's going to happen. We may not even see that it's happened, but something will happen. But if we sit around trying to make it happen, we're in big trouble, because it's not going to happen that way. So that's why Suzuki Roshi and others would say, just sit. Really, literally, just sit. There's no reason for it, because reason is a part of samsara. Yes, Sandy. Oh, yes, you were on the speaker, and now you turned it off somehow. I mean, your mic.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Mitch, when you said it gets better, if you open up, it gets better, you open the door to it gets worse. That's the way we are, the way we think. So anytime to me, it seems anytime you label something, which is our natural way of being, that you're opening it up to something that's opposite of it, and it defeats the whole purpose. To me, if I sit, I don't sit with a goal in mind, because I don't want to have a goal, because a goal will take me away from what I'm actually doing, just sitting. So I don't know, is that right, Peter, to you? Twice.
Well,
That sounds good. Mitch, however, is not wrong.
No.
Because but however, as you go along, sitting doesn't always become easier.
True.
Sitting can become more difficult.
Peter.
Yes. But we were able to take that difficulty more than we were in the past. Yes, Mitch.
You can't sit anticipating. You can sit anticipating change. You can't know what that change is. That's why you're sitting, to find out what the change is. So when people try to, for me personally, if I don't sit expecting something that I'm going to change in this way, because I don't know what the change is going to be. All I can do is sit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the way you put it, and the way that it was put that time, does make more sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
In the,
Well,
in
some,
the
well,
you know that
some
I'm
other
struggling,
hand.
you know
Let me
that
see.
I'm struggling through the Platform Sutra, right? And Hui Ning says that the sun and the moon are always shining. We can't see them because of the clouds. And we have to use the sword of wisdom to blow away the clouds. So how does that relate to this discussion about Zazen?
Well, the 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 reason why we don't understand not only is that there are thoughts and emotions and feelings passing between ourselves and our real nature, and so that we are closed off from that. But yes, but it is true of that it's a very good image, and the image is of um, we are sitting to be evaporators. We're trying to evaporate those clouds, but the clouds keep coming anyway. We can't evaporate them. They're there, but they do, not because of us, but they do disappear. But not because of us. Not because of anybody else either, by the way, or God or anything like that. They just
Not
disappear.
because of us. We don't. What about the Eightfold Path where it says right effort? How does that work into this discussion?
Well, yes, there is. That's a good point. Let me let someone else in right now. But anyway, but that one, let me. Anybody else want to? Yes, Chris.
So to come back to the theme of good and bad, is not seeing good or bad, or at least trying to make an effort not to judge whether something is good or bad.
Yeah.
Is that sort of like another facet of just in general the sort of what we've also been talking about of having no goal, or is it more like if we can sit zazen with no goal, that sort of maybe like instinct or like impulse to see something as good or bad sort of falls away a little bit, just like the other delusions? Or is it kind of like a mix of like, as you're not seeing good or bad, it's easier to not have a goal? Seems like it could go multiple ways.
I'm sure it can. Yeah, that question is a little beyond my.
So, all right.
No, but anyway, because I think what you said, both of them were true.
Okay.
So I didn't in my mind they aren't really different things that you're talking about.
Seeing good or bad, having no effort, it's sort of similar facets of the same practice.
Yeah, they're all, yes, it all goes together. Yeah.
Just one last thing.
Yeah.
A lot of your talk reminded me of a T-shirt I saw at Green Gulch, which just said "Working hard, accomplishing nothing."
That's a very good T-shirt. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Mike, or is it Mike?
That's Chris.
That's me. Yeah.
That was you. Okay, sure.
Just want to make sure I got it.
Sure. Okay. Now, but so, but Mitch brought up a very good question then, and the question Mitch brought up is, if I rephrase it a little bit, isn't the Eightfold Path trying to accomplish something? Right? Because, but it just tells you how to get there. It's a guidebook, as it were. But of course, well, is there there? So what the Eightfold Path is, it tells you, there are 4 parts to it, of course. It tells you that we suffer. And if you don't have that recognition that we suffer, ultimately, you probably won't sit. It's because of our difficulties that we see them, that we feel that need. And that need is very, very important. Everybody has their own version of why of the difficulty in their lives that makes that so. But anyway, it's very important to realize those things. There's another way. There's like three aspects of why we suffer. One is the impermanence of all things. The second is the impermanence of ourself, which is egolessness. And the third is that there is just pain. I'm repeating what someone else I read recently said. But anyway, those are called the three marks of existence. And so we have to realize that something isn't right for ourselves or for the whole world, but that something isn't right. And then acknowledging that, then the Buddha says, if you stop judging, not Buddha, other Zen teachers have said, for example, if you get rid of likes and dislikes, the third or fourth patriarch said, I don't remember which one it was, but in the Xing Xing Mai, the Song of the Mind, and so we do follow that path. But in the following of the path, we follow the path, we don't follow ourselves. Yes.
So also a couple of things you said though that also I think apply to that question is, you said one thing is we should make effort. Another thing is plenty of other Buddhist schools do have this whole you follow the path, you get the thing.
Yeah.
In this case, enlightenment or freedom from suffering / nirvana, whatever. So, it's there, but Zen just has a different relation, or Soto Zen, the Shikantaza folks,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Have a different relationship. Oh no, what's that?
Oh, something happened. Really something
It's okay,
happened?
no, I can do it. Anyways, but it's kind of time to wrap up.
Yes, we're being told.
Yes.
To wrap it up. The time has come.
Well, anyway,
I have
no,
been,
it's
so
not
we're
important.
okay. We're all here.
No, we're all seeing each other.
No,
That's separate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just.
There's no case.
Yes.
But Chris is correct. It is time for us to go to the next phase.
Yes.
Let's
We're
do
Mitch,
the full
Mitch.
moon ceremony.
Yeah,
Mitch,
full
I
moon
will
ceremony,
think more
yes.
about your question.